coffee. And
So what I do with this, like I said, I haven't started publishing the video bit of it yet.
Okay.
I just ripped the audio and put it into a podcast. So I put it on Spotify and YouTube. And the only place it's really being marketed is through my newsfeed.
Oh, okay.
So that's where it is at the moment. If people want to pick it up and spread it around, all the better. But,
Go for it.
Yeah, so I've done, I don't know if you know John Cook. John Cook, he's up in Port Macquarie, but he's a wealth of knowledge, particularly around, leadership stuff and anything to do with metallurgy.
Yeah, he and I were at Camalco.
Yeah, really?
Making aluminium products.
Cool. Doesn't happen anymore, does it?
Rolled and extruded aluminium.
Yeah.
So when we get together, we talk about other things in leadership because his good friend is Kerry Oldfield and a few others. So the Elliott Sharks. I was at another company, which we've won James Walker through gold, and the guy up here at Warrenbrook, Howard Masters, he just said a few things. And I was like, "Are you a Elliott Sharks leadership requisite thinking team?" Yeah, that's the McDonald's and Associates. I said, I know them.
Yeah.
Why? How did you know them? I said, I did the strategic plan for the Bell Bay smelter down in aluminium, down at Tasmania. They said, well, who did you do that with? McDonald and Associates, because I was the only consultant that was there. So and you had to talk about this, and then I did the best practice program for Camalco in smelting. But so you had to know their leadership model.
Yeah.
You can't say responsibility, you have to say accountability. There was a few other things you couldn't do. You couldn't say, you couldn't say attitude, you had to say behaviour.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Key words.
Oh yeah, and if you did do them, you had one warning as a consultant.
Really?
Oh yeah, especially Carl Stewart. I think he's still alive, but John Cook knows about him. Yeah. It was really easy. Somebody does this bloody crap and I'll just bite their ear off. Stick it. I said, okay. So I had Natalie on my team and she was great, but Natalie Burden.
Yeah. So I've done, this will be the fourth one of these podcasts I've done.
Oh, okay.
I've done, John was the first one, which was great. And then I did Fraser Nelson, which I think you probably know.
Yeah.
And I've just done David Tiller. So David Tiller's in the can, ready to be sent out. And he'll be the fourth. So.
It's exciting.
And like I said, this is just like simple conversations, and we're trying to talk about careers, sort of where you come from, how you got here. The thing that I've always been really excited about whenever I see you, whether presenting or just in our everyday conversations, very entertaining. So, and it makes learning so much easier when someone's entertaining. So,
I don't know why that happened. I tried to be, I tried to copy. I saw W.D. Scott in my career. I'll cover this. In 1976, I was at a thing to be a productivity manager, and I saw this. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I already had 4 engineering certificates. I was top apprentice, 3rd and 4th year in trainee, mechanical out of the bag.
So you were a fitter and machinist, eh?
Yeah.
Where did you do your training?
Standard telephones and cables.
Oh, yeah.
At 252 Botany Road, Alexandria.
Yeah.
That was it. I'll tell you the story about how I got into that. It was really interesting too. But it was just funny. I was watching these guys, and I just started. So 76. I was a year and a quarter into my business degree. It was used to be called New South Wales Institute of Technology. And I saw this guy present, and then I saw the next one present. I said, this is what I want to do. But I didn't know that I wanted to do that until you. So that lady who was speaking yesterday about the Air Commodore when she gets exposed, and then that Jetstar apprentice, and then she got the job, and you need to be exposed to different things.
Well, as I say, if you can't see it, you can't be it.
How are you supposed to show that to people? And that's why I do drawings, because when I give lectures, I've got to give another lecture at the Macquarie Graduate School of Management in the lean and just in time. Yeah. I was doing the Master of Science lectures down at University of Wollongong, and I don't have a doctorate. I was studying it or doing it, so therefore I filled it in. But a number of times people said, I don't understand. I said, well, it's in the book.
Yeah.
Right, where are you from? Oh, Nepal. Where are you from? Pakistan. Where are you from? China. Okay. Tell me, how did you go with the earthquake? Oh no. When you set up the medical centre, yes, what was the steps you did to do that? On the steps? Yes. What, the steps up? No, not up the bloody mountain, the bloody you know, step 1, step 2. Oh, that's what it says in the book. I was like, oh, gone. And so some of the smart ones in the class, the Africans, are going, oh my God, what is this? So you do it up, and the next minute they all go take their cameras out and start taking the photos. You go, so nobody's taught you how to do a flow chart. No, you're the first lecturer we've had in 19 lectures. We only just get the book. Look, turn it all off. Here you go. And I filled the whole whiteboard, and then just at the end of it, they're all taking photos and got their, you know, selfies and next to the flow chart.
That's the thing that amazes me, but like I said about you being able to really lay things out. And I remember back when we were talking about the diploma of applied technology.
Oh yeah.
And you just zip, 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 zip. All the ideas are there. Perfect. That's exactly
Three
what I was
horizons,
thinking.
you know. You got a red ocean here, going to a blue ocean there. Yes, I get. My wife criticises me because I tend to make it look so relaxed, I think.
But it actually accommodates everybody's learning style, you know, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I learned that from one of my consultants,
Yeah.
Hugh Ellens. Yeah, there's kinesthetic and you know all that type of visual stuff. So I said, Actually, BHP put me onto it. I was doing, I was being BHP a long time, especially Newcastle.
Yeah.
And then I was on a plane going to Brisbane, and the guy next to me was, it was pretty obvious. He said, oh, you're doing something on TQM. So I was doing, do I do the flow chart like this? Do I do Pareto? Why not? And it was the stage of me developing my problem-solving methodology, which I wrote books on.
Yeah.
Huh?
I've got the book.
Yeah, so I said, and he said, are you a TQM consultant? I said, yeah. I said, you from BHP? He said, how did you know that? I bet you're from Collieries. How did the fuck can you know that? I said, you've got a BHP tie on and it's got a bloody miner's lamp on it. I said, okay, smartass. I'll see you down at BHP Collieries headquarters on next week. What, down in the Illawarra? My mum's down there. You got your mother down there, have you? Right, what you're going to do, you're going to run the strategy for the BHP Collieries. I said, hang on. And then he realised that we were talking business, you know, and he said, this is an handset. I still remember this. Everybody, there's a management consultant up in the front end of the plane, and all these guys in business going, oh no! A management consultant, oh fuck, I'm charging you more for this shit. So then he took me underground out of Nebo and Nebo Colliery and Appin Colliery, Tower Colliery, So that's how it goes, isn't it?
So when you did your trade, and then what did you do then?
Well, how I got to my trade was actually even weirder. Because I was, when I was at Christian Brothers Lewisham, I was all right at sport, but I wasn't fantastic. I was okay. I was a pretty good runner, but I wasn't the best runner.
Yeah.
We held the record at the under-11 relay in Sydney Cricket Ground. So
Yeah.
I was okay, but I was never been the one to be the front. Right. So anyway, come year 10, they did, the Department of Education back in those days, they did an assessment of your skills.
Yeah,
And
I
they
think
said,
Fraser told me about something like this.
Yeah, so they say, you should, they give you the feedback and they give you the report. If you leave now, when you finish year 10 and study hard, you could become a greenkeeper. Okay? Or what? Well, if you study really, really hard, you could become a landscape gardener and designer. I'm still at school. I don't think it's a good idea you go on to a year 11. So I came back and told my mother and father, you know. Well, there's no jobs in 1968. You know, we had hair. We had a whole range of things, you know. It's like, it just wasn't, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I stayed on. So I did year 11 and 12. I did get my certificate. I went to Bankstown TAFE because I struggled with maths.
Yeah.
And I'm not very good on English. I only got a 3rd level pass in English. So I recognised I had problems and I needed to do something really good to pass my high certificate. So I did 2nd level maths. So I went to Bankstown TAFE every Friday night for 2 years and I did the lectures. I still remember this bloke helping me get through it. So
Just maths?
Just the maths.
Yeah.
So when I got my results, I got level 2 maths. But I got 3rd level English, failed science, but I got 2nd level ancient and modern history. They were 2 subjects, ancient and modern. So ask me something about the American Civil War, I can tell you. Oh, the Peloponnesian, the Syrians, I am right into that. But as for science,
So you should have been an anthropologist.
yeah, I was all like that. So when I'm travelling around the world, as I do, I keep on going, let's go to this dig, and my wife would say, we're not going to another bloody castle. Well, in this castle. So anyway, so I stayed on. So when I finished in year 12, I put my name to go down to Duntroon for the weekend, because I'm talking 1969, because the year 1970 was going to be my last year. So when I graduated in 1971, being 18 then, I would have had to, which I did, I put my name down for national service. So you had to, so I did that.
Yeah.
So I went down to Duntroon for the weekend and thought, okay, I'll put my name in to go into the army. So I submitted my thing, but the problem was I didn't get a good enough result in the high school certificate because I failed science.
So you didn't get into...
So I didn't get into Duntroon. But then when I finished the high school certificate, I put in for Portsea, the Navy.
Yeah.
I put in for the Army to go to Wagga Wagga to do a trade.
Yeah.
Put into a whole range of things in the Department of Defence to get a job.
I grew up in Wagga and...
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I was around the Army and Air Force for a long time, and that made me join the Navy. Because I wanted a job where I woke up where I worked, and I could drink my fill and still have a feed.
Navy, that's the senior service, of course.
Of course.
So it was really... I had a problem, so I couldn't get a job, so I went to the... it was like the equivalent of employment services. I mean, my auntie kept a photo of me applying for jobs, and I had a suit on and everything with this young lady, and we were there filling in the forms to apply for jobs. And I got a job in the New South Wales Police as a clerk.
Oh.
So I'd just done 10 years of school, the one school, and I went down to it's now Farrer Places, and it was just a sea of deaths. I thought,
Sorry.
I can't do this. Something in me just said no. And the reason it also said no, my mum and dad started a business called Safety Wise. So from the time I could actually remember, kids say about skiing.
Yeah.
I was always out with my father fitting seatbelts, because I went from the back seat of an Austin A40 onto the dash, and I didn't die.
Yeah.
I got a thick head, so that's why I played in the front row or the lock or something like that. I just never got knocked out. My brother always got knocked out. He died 5 years ago from a brain tumour, but I never got knocked out. So my dad started a business fitting seatbelts because it wasn't compulsory.
Yeah, I remember that. My dad had HR Holden.
That's it.
I was born when you finished school, so still cars didn't have seatbelts. At most they had the two front seatbelts, but not the back ones.
That's it. And they had just the diagonal, the lap sash,
they
call it. Well, when my dad was doing that, he was a toolmaker at STC too. So if you just park all that, I'll get to that.
Yeah.
So what happened was, I was out there every weekend with an old combi van. Dad made these Dexion racking things, so we pulled out this kind of bed with a vise, because we had to cut the bolts to fit the different size of the A pillar.
Yeah.
And then
B pillar is actually.
Yeah, the B pillar. Sorry, I was at the A.
A pillar's at the front.
Yeah, sorry. Well, yeah. So where that was, so he'd said, right, I'll chamfer that off. So we cut it, and then I learned how to do that, and then I'd have to chamfer it.
Yeah.
And not damage the thread. So, it was little things like this. So, and his
that was
mate...
the start of a real apprenticeship, really.
Yeah, that was my dad.
There's no contractor training. You were going from your dad, master the...
2 shillings he gave me. 2 shillings I used to get. I said, bloody shit. I should have had a bloody union. And I still remember going around and we
probably
had...
only £10 a week anyway.
It was.
For a man's wages back then.
Dad was getting £3, I think.
£3, yeah.
So the reason for saying that, I remember him putting a radio on the dash of the combi van, and this band came on, Love, Love Me Too. I said, who are these guys? So I didn't mind going out because I had my radio, because back then I had a brother and one sister. Eventually we had another sister. I went, these guys are going to be good. And Dad went past the King's Cross Hotel where they were in the morning. I think that's the guys. Is it the Beatles? Yeah, there they are there.
There would have been thousands outside.
Nobody.
No? Really?
Nobody was there, because we got there at some ungodly hour to go to fit seatbelts down in Potts Point somewhere.
Yeah.
I think that's them. Anyway, of course, then they knew where it was, But anyway, so my dad taught me all this stuff, and my mother used to make us stuff like that. But so we had Safety Wise, that was the name of it. Mum and Dad were trying to get the NRMA and the car companies to please just put in an encapsulated nut in the base, like the floor pan, of the car, so we could just take the thing out and put the bolt in. Seatbelts aren't going to be needed in Australia. This is the NRMA and General Motors, Holden, American Motors, Ford. No, we don't need it. I think there's a guy over in Ford, he's saying that it was in the Vietnam War eventually, we should have seatbelts. So Mum and Dad were trying to get this stuff through. So I was underneath the car when Dad was on top of on a Mini, while he was drilling it. I'm there, and then putting the washer and putting the reinforcing plate, and then the washer. And my old man's on the top. And he said, "I'm going to tighten it down." I'm underneath. And I was a bit thinner than what I am now. So.
But I think that story about the seatbelts and it's not needed, I put that to electric cars of today, and full automation. There's a lot of poo-pooing at the moment, particularly when there's an accident or something. All of a sudden they say, these things are dangerous and they should never see the light of day. But eventually that's where we're going, because someone's son or daughter or someone's going to die in a normal accident, and they're going to say, hey, all the data that's pointing towards these electric cars driving themselves is probably a good thing.
And that's a good point, because part of the thing about at that time was there was seatbelts saying, people still die from seatbelts in accidents. Well, yeah, but only 3%.
Yeah.
It's like, but that was when we had the laps. We didn't have the lap sash, we just had the sash. Yeah, so you'd fly it underneath, because that's where your weight is.
Yeah.
Another 1/7 here.
Yeah.
So you do die, but it's like, well, it's the same as swim between the flags.
Yeah.
You still can die. Yeah, it's like you still can die, but less, So then my dad was trying to get he saw this thing with a retractable seatbelt. So we imported from England the light aircraft's lap sash retractable belt.
Oh.
So, and they said, we've got them on all the planes, the 707s and things like that, because the pilots go up and down and they got this. So we use them in cars. So my dad got them. Britax was down in Melbourne, and the seatbelt webbing and everything else. And that Britax became a client of mine eventually when I was doing the automotive industry best practice program. Yeah. Light aircraft came in, and we fitted seatbelts to a company called, to a person called Sir Walter Scott, as in W.D. Scott. Yeah. I still remember going to his house, and he left our sandwiches and milk for me, and a beer for my dad in the fridge in the garage, or garage as they say. So when we finished, just closed the garage door and just leave it was a Rolls Royce. I eventually became a consultant to W.D. Scott. That was Walter and Dorothy Scott. He got Sir, but he got the first Juran Medal, which I eventually got in 2008. He got the first one in 1958 or 68.
What's the Juran Medal?
So in the Australian Organisation for Quality, which I'm a fellow of, Dr. Juran, obviously a quality guru. Yeah. So if you make a significant contribution to quality management, education, and improvement of quality for Australia, blah, 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 a range of things, you are nominated to be the Juran Medallist. It's not given every year. And I've got that, and a few years later I got the Shulkin Prize for publications and communications for, getting quality out there in the world, not just Australia. So I got the Shulkin Prize too. This is from a bloke who can't write. I can't.
For the Nobel Prize, mate.
I keep on writing to my mate down in Melbourne. I said, it's Australia Day honours. I didn't get anything in the mail. There's nothing, nothing's happening.
You need to get in quick, mate. The Queen's sort of...
And then I just said this the other day. I said to Phil, because he was in the transport, the automotive products manufacturers. He says, I said, what's the matter? I said, look, mate, you know what happens in marriages, the husband or the wife dies, and it's not too long after that, the other partner kind of had, remorse and that, and they cark it too. Now, I'm not saying that Her Majesty's kind of close, but the Queen Birthday Honours are coming up in June in Australia, and I've got ScoMo in, Scotty from marketing, and I just think it's the window will close. I mean, this year's be good.
Then your only best bet from that is to bring Abbott back and get a knighthood.
Oh, captain's pick. But anyway, so So back to my seatbelt thing. So mum and dad were doing this stuff, and then they also had another business called that was safety wise. So another business called Glade Manufacturing. So Glade as regards the grass.
Yeah.
And what we were doing, we were buying lawnmower blades from a company, and then for Victor and all those things, you know, with Victor lawnmowers, when we used to have a manufacturing plant and so on. So Dad was a tool maker. So what he did, he made the die for all the tools. You ever heard of a single minute exchange die system? Yeah, that's what the Japanese talk about. You just change the die within 1 minute. You know, so Dad worked out, you put a different block in the die. So you put in the Victor lawnmower flat one updraft, you put the Scott Bonner one, it was a bit like this. So what you had, you just put a cassette, you know, and you change the top cassette, and that
sped up the changeover.
And you change the thing. Yeah. Where did they do it? National Springs. Where at? Homebush. Yeah. Where did I come? The quality, safety, and quality improvement, safety and HR manager, National Springs. Eventually, so I had all these bloody things that go like, I know this company. so Dad started buying this the steel from National Springs, and he used his die over at Homebush, and every Saturday before my soccer or after my soccer, and when I could drive, I used to drive this combi van with no power steering, with half a ton of lawnmower blades in Hessian bags, bring it back to the house, and we'd have my mum, her sisters, and everybody in the community packing lawnmower blades. Jeez. And then we found out I need nuts and bolts and everything, washers and all this. Where do we get that from? So we found out where we could buy them, and say you buy them for 10 cents. How much I can buy them? Oh, half a cent. And you sell them for 10 cents. So Dad thought, So we started packing the lawnmower blades. My brother and I, we used to pick up two, and you put a tape around it and pack them up, and you put them into the box. We had the cartons. Oh, where can we get the cartons? So we started working out where we get the carton, and then put the little plastic bags together, and put the nuts and bolts and the washers in there, put a thing on the top, and then when you go to the garage, you put them on a stand, you can buy your lawnmower blades, and then some bolts to replace them. So it was Glade Manufacturing and Sales. So Dad says, I'm going to buy some more of these bolts. And then he had somebody, ever heard of the Opera House? So Dad, I don't know much of the story because it was 1958, 59, so in the early 60s. So there was somebody came along and they said, we need these all threads. We want somebody to find these all threads. They use them so that you put it in tension with a washer and a bolt to hold the concrete things together. Oh yeah. Well, we can't find anybody to do it. So Dad found them and got them made. So a little guy out at Ralph Toscano out at Fairfield. G'day Ralph, how you going? Do you know about this? Oh yeah, I can do that. Yeah, sure. So we had all these little manufacturers around the place making stuff for this opera house. Yeah. And down at Broadway, there's a thing called the Telstra Exchange or Telecom Exchange, PMG. Those concrete precast things are put in by All Threads. Oh, right. That was my mum and dad. Oh. So we started this thing of Glade Manufacturing, so the safety business went, because finally they realised that was a good idea. And then the lawnmower business kind of went, and we started in 1959 Glade Manufacturing and Sales.
It's a big evolution, isn't it? Yeah, innovations and...
So that's 1959, so I'm talking like in the 60s too. So by the time I was getting to 1970, at the end of it, I went to go and get a job, I said, and I got it at the police department. Yeah. So I got all this background, and then I couldn't get a job. And then I said, well, I have to get a job. So I rang up my mother with the last 10 cents I had. Yeah. Oh, Mum, how was the job going? Why are you ringing? It's morning tea. Is it? I said, no, I didn't start. Well, don't come home, your old man will bloody kill you. My father was a big man. Yeah. I'm bigger than him now, but he'll kill you. You better find a job. So I had my lovely suit. So my first day as a police clerk. So I walked from bloody Elizabeth Street all the way past Redfern, down Botany Road, and I got to this big factory. I said, oh, well, I'll go in here. It was in the afternoon, and I walked in, and they said, who are you? I said, oh, I'm looking for a job. Just go and sit over there in the chair, son. Looks like I had a lot long red hair, but pretty long red hair, but it wasn't like, it was the Beatles, remember? Yeah. So I sat down in this room on a vinyl seat, a bit like this, and the guy walks in. He was the apprentice master. He said, "Oh yeah, I'm Michael McLean. What do you want?" "I want a job." "Have you applied for a job?" "No." "Why are you here?" "I want a job." "How old are you?" I said, "I'm 18. "You got a high school certificate?" "Yep." "Well, there's no vacancies. We've taken all our trainees and cadet engineers." "Cadets?" He said, "No, did you get into university?" "No, I didn't get a good enough mark." "Wait, well, I can't take you in because you could have been a technician, but there's no jobs, they're all full. And you can't do apprenticeships, they're all full, so bye." And just at that moment, this red-headed bloke had longer red hair than me. He'd walked down this corridor and he got to the apprentice master's door and he said, "You can now step this job up, you blah, 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 blah." I went, "Whoa." And I'm there, "Hi, Mr. Barry."
Looks like a position just that.
He says, "Well, just what happened?" He says, "He's got red hair, you've got red hair. They won't notice the difference." "In what?" "You know anything about mechanical stuff?" I said, "No." He looked at my CV, then he looked at my school report. Captain of the Open Athletic Champion, school prefect, second level ancient history, second level modern history, second level maths, failed science, third level English. "Why are you here?" I said, "I want a job. You don't ever do industrial arts." "What's industrial arts?" Because I didn't go to a Catholic public school. I went to Christian Brothers Lewisham, which is, it's always a private school. I said, "Well, what's industrial arts?" "Oh, it's engineering stuff." "Oh, is it?" "Yeah." Well, the job that you could have if you answer some questions was the job that he's now just lost. I said, "What's that?" He said, "He's a fitter machinist." "Oh, yeah. And he could have been a trainee. Trainee in what? Production engineering." "Oh, what's that?" "Oh, I'm going to ask you 3 questions, right?" I said, "No, if you answer these 3 questions, I'll think about you becoming an apprentice." "Oh, that'd be good." And he went, "All right, so does." "What's a die?" "Oh, a die?" Remember, he gave me, remember this is a mechanical question? And I said, "I don't expect you to handle it." He said, I realise that it's an embarrassing question. "Right, is it a die to press out a part?" Blow my blades, right? Yeah. "Is it a die that you get a rod and you put a thread on it?"
That's more information I was expecting.
"A tap." Blah, blah, blah. "All right, hang on, just a minute. How did you know this stuff?" "Oh, I went and fitted seatbelts for my dad every weekend." "Oh, what was your dad?" "Oh, he was a toolmaker." "Oh, where was he a toolmaker?" "Oh, STC. The guy's got, this is true what happened, right? He goes, "STC, was he?" "Yes." "Do you know where you are?" I said, "No, look, I went for a job at the police department in the city and I didn't get it. So I'm just walking down the street. I saw your door was open and they just said jobs, so I just came in for a job." "Right, son." And he gets my shoulders and he turns to me like this. "What's that?" That's the place." "Oh, is that here?" And he goes, "So you're not real bright, eh?" And he says, "No. This is STC. Why didn't you tell me your old man worked here?" I said, "Oh, he doesn't work here now." I said, "Well, clearly not." I said, "My mother did too." "Your mother worked here. What was she doing here?" And I said, "Oh, she used to wind coils or something." "Oh, come with me." So I'm walking up. "Here you are." He says, "Hello, girls. This boy here," hello, nice little boy. And I'm 6'2", nice little boy. I said, "Who are these women?" He says, his mother used to work here. Her name was Nancy Corliss or Nancy McLean." "Oh, Nancy, little dark one. Yes, she could operate. Yeah, that's her. You're her son. Wow." I said, "This is not a very nice place." I went to Christian Brothers, probably it's still virginal at that stage. I went, "Oh my God, who are these women, those nice little stockings, that are all up in, like this." And I said, "Oh," she said, "Well, I'm taking you down to the tool room." "Oh, okay. Oh, I've got an uncle down here." "You've got an uncle down here? Who's down here is your uncle?" "Oh, Uncle Jack." "Who's Uncle Jack?" "Oh, Jack Johnson." "I don't know him." Walked in. Anyway, I walked in. There's Uncle Jack. He's now in a nursing home. He's 95. I said, "Oh, hi, Uncle Jack." "Hey, son, what are you doing here?" I said, "Oh, well," he's a plumber. "What are you doing here?" "Oh, I wanted to get a job." "Oh, wouldn't get him, son." "What's your name?" He said, "I'm Dave Barry, the apprentice master." "Oh, I wouldn't take him, he's a bad one." "Why was that?" "Well, his brother's worse." That's Pat, my brother, Mick and Pat. And he says, "Oh, this one's okay, but I wouldn't take him." "Why?" "Well, he's got red hair. Bad temper." I'm there going, "No, I don't." He says, "Yes, he does. And he gave a bit of a wink. He says, he doesn't, does he? No. Because when my brother started the year after, he has a bad temper and he says, no, I used to get into trouble, not because of me, but because of my brother. So I got a job as a fitter machinist toolmaker thing. And but when I went into TAFE to enrol at Sydney Tech at Broadway, you got second level maths. You failed science. But you got English third level. And you're 18, yeah. Where are you working? I said, Standard Thermal Lines and Cables. That's the best tool room in Australia. Yeah. So the people from AWA and Plessy would argue about that one, but you've got the biggest and the best one, so I'm thinking. And they told me about these jig borers and jig grinders, electro-rating machines. I said, I don't know what that is.
Lucky you did the maths stuff though,
I know. Freezing. I used to go in my FE Holden, put a blanket over me, think of it didn't have a bloody heater, going from Belmore to Bankstown. It doesn't sound very far, but it was freezing in Sydney those days. They used to have ice. But so no heating in the classrooms, you know. So
Fraser and I used to have a little bit of a giggle about tool makers because class as slow fitters. I only put it down to they had to do more numbers. They had to calculate more numbers. That's why they're so slow. And
degrees of freedom and fit and everything else. Do you want to press fit, slide fit, or interference fit? Yeah. Do you want to do production design analysis? I know all the stuff, but you know that's what happened. So I got a job. Yeah. But when I went to this thing, the TAFE teacher said, if you do these 7 subjects in 1 year, you will have year 1 and 2 done. Oh, but you have to stay at STC. Oh, I've got an apprenticeship. Oh, so you got 8 hours off a week. Yeah. Oh. Well, what we'll do with you is we'll get you to enrol in the production engineering certificate in tool design or something like that. Okay. Not mechanical? No. I think you're, given your results, you're probably into production. How can you work that out from my results? Anyway, so they enrolled me in the production engineering certificate, which is probably now a diploma or something, I don't know. So when I started, I did 7 subjects in 1 year. So I did my production engineering certificate for years 1 and 2 in 1. I had to do chemistry and physics, which I eventually passed. Oh, is this what you mean by?
So bad at science.
Yeah, I was so bad. I passed. I got bloody high distinctions. And now I know why I need this stuff. You know, oh, you want to treat the metal? Why didn't they tell me that? and it was down at Redford at the old tannery. Oh God, it still smelled terrible. But anyway, so and then I did but I had to stay at the tool room. I had to stay at STC because I didn't have to do the trade theory because the theory would have been covered at a high level in the engineering certificate. Yeah. So I stayed and I finished it in 3 years. So I became, in the last year of it, I had to do plastic moulding design and I couldn't do it because they put me in the drawing office and everything else with remember my uncle? So I went into the drawing office and I used to go around with a shirt and this, that and the other. And I used to go down, I didn't know how to do all this stuff. And I went down to the toolies who I used to be an apprentice with. I said, how do you do that? And they take my Stedler pencil and I take the drawing back up and fuck. So when I left, they gave me all these, I still got one, a blue Stedler pencil. Anyway, so I said, went back to Dave, what are you doing here? I said, I'm having trouble. I said, I got the tool makers down there, they won't tell me how to make a thing. This guy's got an Austrian tool maker thing, he's got a cube within a cube within a cube with a hole in every cube. What's that got to do with your studies? I said, I'm going to make that. I said, so I went back in the tool room to make the cube within a cube with a cube, right? And because the guy says, you won't do it. Well, as soon as somebody says that, they shouldn't have said that. So I said, I'll do this. He said, nobody's been able to do it. Oh, really? What, in Germany or Austria or where were you from?
Watch me levitate.
Right. So I worked it all out and I got everybody who'd given me shit and I worked it all out and done and I made it. And I got top apprentice 3rd year. And then they put me into that. So I went back to the tool room, do that, and then I went up and I said, I can't do plastic moulding. Why? I've got to pass this shit. I have no idea how to do plastic moulding. What's this bloody heat seek thing? I don't get it. Extrusion. He said, what do you want to do? Or can I go to the plastic moulding shop up at Liverpool? He said, it's freezing. Yeah, but I want to work on the floor. You're going to be a boss. You're going to be a manager. I said, or an engineer. I said, I won't get there unless I pass this subject. Then I said, I need to go on the floor. Go on the floor? You just got off the floor. I said, I've got to go on the floor. He said, what, to be a tool setter? I said, yeah, I'll be a tool setter in plastic moulding. And I still remember his look. He said, you're weird. Hey, do you play football? I said, yeah, I play in the front row. Clearly. You still play football? Yeah. Where about? Front row, all locked. You know, something wrong with you. So I got there in my Speedos and underpants sometimes, you know, and steel cap boots and overalls, and that's all you wore because it's so bloody hot. Then come winter, you bloody freezing your ass off. Yeah. So I used to set with I still remember Jimmy, Seventh-day Adventist, Jehovah's Witness. So I used to set the plastic moulding dies and machines for stopping the short shots on monopoly houses and hotels. Oh, man. The Qantas lid, which when I finally caught an overseas flight years later, I said, I made this. Playing Monopoly, I made this. Telephones, every telephone, 800 telephones, I still remember them. Yeah. So I used to purge them out with all the polycarbonates and everything else, and I had all these funny, twirly things you purge out the old plastic. And I said, don't throw them out. Why? We'll make telephones out of them. They'll sell like hotcakes. Yeah. They did. Yeah. And all these swirly bloody things. So I passed. At the end of that class in plastic moulding at Sydney Tech, I was teaching because nobody else had the practical experience, and neither did the teacher. Yeah. I thought, I kind of like this idea because I always wanted to be a teacher when I finished high school.
Did you know Keith Monaghan?
Yes.
Yeah, he says on my board as well. So
he said something on my LinkedIn the other day.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I was at High for Attitude, Train for School. Well, he was at TRW.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, is he on your board?
Yeah,
he's
I'm
a
going
great
to
player.
him as well. So.
He's fantastic. Yeah, I saw him, last time I saw him was down in...
he's working for the University of New South Wales with Vernon Sedgwala.
Ah!
Yeah, that's what he's doing at the moment in the, whatever it's called, the green factories or something, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
recycling computers and stuff.
Oh, God. He lives out at Engadine or somewhere.
Yeah, he's a mad MX-5 racer.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's into the cars. Yeah.
Oh, God.
He ran R.E. Davidson. Did you know R.E. Davidson?
Why do I know that?
They used to make the Bakelite switches and that.
Oh, I've done Bakelite.
Yeah.
Done Bakelite smells.
Yeah.
I did the switchboard Bakelite mouldings for them. So that's how I got into kind of think, I could teach this stuff. Because I knew more about it than what the teacher did, because I was actually doing it. Yeah. So I got this, learn by doing thing in my head. Yeah. Because my dad, my dad was still alive then. He says, I don't care how many certificates and things you get after your name when you get to what you're going to do. Yeah. If you can't apply it, it's shit. Yeah. I said, well, sometimes you got to learn something that may not be applied, but I said, I'll try. Yeah. So this is 1972. So I didn't go to Vietnam, by the way, because I got into an apprenticeship. Yeah. And my date came up, I think it was 2 or 3 either side of my date of the 2nd of June.
Yeah, so
back in my first year of the apprenticeship, which was also a bit of a kind of an insurance policy, I put my name down. I didn't get into the Army, Navy or Air Force, and so I thought, I'll become an apprentice. So I did.
Yeah. But now you're influencing all of those mobs anyway.
Well, it gets funny. So years later, when I was doing quality circles at the where I just was RAF-based Richmond. So I became a consultant, right? I started my own business after WD Scott, and I stayed at STC for 9 years, and I went to Emco Wrangler at Juran as industrial engineer, and then from there I went to Camalco, where I met John Cook and all the aluminium people. Yeah. So as a productivity manager, 1976, I saw these guys at WD Scott office over in North Sydney teaching productivity. I said, I know this stuff. Because my mum and dad would, drilled it into me, being efficient and this, that and the other, and the Austrian tool mogo, clean up your workbench at the end of the day. I think it's called 5S now. Yeah, sorry.
I used to love your little take on the Toyota systems and the cost downs.
The only purpose of Toyota production system is the cost down, no other reason. And I was explaining it to the MBA class the other day, and I said, well, go down to a Toyota and open up the boot of a Camry. And you open up the Camry, and it's got this bloody metal lever thing. Every other car's got, telescopic shock absorber thing. Not Toyota. Why? Cost. Cheap.
It's funny, I've been a bit of a fanboy of Tesla, right? Yeah. And what Elon Musk has been doing. And I remember when some of the major manufacturers were really criticising about all the different components that they were welding together the first Teslas with, and they've modified a lot of that now to a monocoque chassis sort of thing. That took some evolving of that product, and it's getting better. And you know, they're leading the world now. Every bloody car maker in the world is going batteries, or at least hybrids. So you know, it's changing the whole face of things.
It's a step change. It's like the Bannister doing the 4-minute mile.
Yeah.
Once somebody did, oh shit, we can all do it.
Yeah.
Actually, I went down to the Martin Place display, what do they call it? Showroom for Tesla.
Yeah.
And they had one of the cutaways. They took it away now.
Oh, have they?
They take the floor pan thing away. Because I went up there and went. So I started taking photos. So this guy comes up, you know, lovely, thin, flat stomach, full head of hair, stylized. What are you taking a photo of? Said the welding. The what? Welding. This is called a weld. So you have a bead. Mm-hmm. You know. Yeah. No, right. So you notice it's all lovely and smooth over here, yeah? Look at the other side. Flash and crap. Oh, yeah, what's that? I said, oh. It's not good, is it? No, it's not good. Most people don't notice it. I said, you did? I said, well, are you a welder? No, I'm not.
I've seen enough of them.
So one was done by a robot, I think, but this one was done hand. It was not very good.
Yeah.
But anyway, the reason for saying that is, you know, the attention to detail. I'm not very good at a lot of things, but the tool room and my dad and mum teach me to pay attention to the little things.
Yeah.
I'm not. My wife's better at it than me. But yeah, so my career then went from all those companies, and when I saw these guys present at WD Scott in 1976, I said, I want to be a consultant. What in? Productivity and organisation methods, work simplification. I love this stuff. This is good. I know this stuff. How do you know it? My parents and my whole family like this. My dad's brother was a tool maker. He made the first cool room. You know the rubber door. He did the mould for that. They became the die. My dad did it.
The extrusion.
Yeah, the
the
extrusion.
Rubber bit slots into. Yeah.
And then my dad made a thing called a biro. Think Dad designed the lawnmower blade with Victor Richardson lawnmowers. Creative bastard. But he only went to year 11 or something. School, so third year of high school. Mum went further, but so Dad came from the bush. They came from Coonabarabran. Mum's from Biddaway. So I'm the only one that sold out, and so now so doing what I do. But anyway, so when I went to WD Scott, because I'd done all their courses, I'd done every course. Work mesh. I was doing it. I took out 41% of the staff at Standard Telephones and Cables. I went to New York to present how to do business plans and put resourcing on a business plan, because they hadn't even thought about it. I gave the business case to change all of ITT in the world to go from foolscap goddamn stupid crap to think something which the rest of the world is called metric, and it's called A4. Because
maybe
then
you need to do something with the US on that one.
So when I got there, they said, hey, that's a great idea. Where did you get that from? I said, well, everybody else in the world is doing bloody A4. Why don't you do A4? Because we have to kind of do everything to get a special photocopy machine in foolscap. And we have to do this and then print it off and send it across. It's ridiculous. Okay, so park that. So when I became the manager of productivity for all of STC and presented these ideas about staffing cost reductions, it wasn't their fault. We just were going from tool room making telephones to electronic. So it just became, instead of going, if you look at a dial on a telephone, it goes like the old ones, go A, B, C, and it goes, right?
The rotary.
Right, the rotary.
Yeah.
That's why your phone, the dials, when you
The
go
numbers
to,
are the way they are.
that's the reason why the numbers, whereas the calculator's back to front.
Yeah.
Because of that. No, the reason I'm saying that, I then had my boss going over to New York, and he said, this is 1978, he said, you better come. I was already over there in 77 to New York. I went to world headquarters, and everybody called me Mr. McLean because they had 4 weeks holiday. I didn't know they only got 2 weeks. So everybody thought I must have been a director of STC Australia. Why is everybody calling me Mr.? Oh, hi, Mr. McLean, how are you? what's your name? My name's Cindy. Oh, really? You know, like Dallas cheerleader hair. And there are these people calling me Mr. all the time. I said, why do they keep on calling me Mr.? He said, well, yeah, you must be a senior manager under Frank Whitehouse. He's a director. He must be a director too. I said, I've got permed hair. I've got, you know, floral paisley shirts and they're striped, you know, bell bottoms.
All these Aussies are different.
They were different, but it was quite funny. So in the end, he was over there and he said, after I did my trip, so I explained how I did productivity. I went to Hartford Insurance, explained it, and I learned how the Americans, they turn up to work and they did the Japanese thing. They don't talk about it. They get paid such low money, but they turned up to work before the boss, they stayed after, you know, until the boss left, and that was the American, it still is. Yeah. And so I kind of was aware of that. And then so I came back after a holiday. They paid me to go up there and do it. I had an American girlfriend and all that. But anyway, I came back and then I started working back still in my office, still cutting out the number of staff. It wasn't their fault. It just we just didn't have the work. Yeah. And then he went back to New York for the presentation of the business case, which I said we do. So I wrote in there how many people. So he presented. I've still got it. 41% reduction. So it's a chart like this. Still making more than what we did before. Yeah. So all those people, I also learned a few lessons about you've got to get people involved, because if you do the flow chart, you know, those things of the flow chart, and then you realise, well, I don't know that. I know how to flow chart, but Shirley, I said this lady's name, Shirley, but how could we improve this? Oh, well, it's stupid. We need to get an electronic data processing, it's called IT now. If they could do that, okay, I'll go down to the IT department, or EDP. Yeah. Can you guys do this? Sure. Oh, we have to put it on the IT shopping list or something. No. I'm Michael McLean. I'm the head of productivity for STC. You're going to change this because this will make a big difference to our imports and shipping and purchasing. So
how do you find, because I know you do a lot around lean, and particularly when you were working with Jason and that, you did tons of that.
Sorry, I just carried on, sorry.
No, that's fine. That's what it's all about, mate. But just trying to pick on some points that I think will be poignant about particularly lean, because, and this is something John Cook and I talk endlessly about, you know, the button era and going down lean, and how lean has never really stuck with industry. No. You know, obviously you get engaged to go and write reports about it, and particularly about that sort of
Give
stuff.
lectures on it.
Yeah, but just basically telling people the black holes that they have in their businesses. Do they take it on and actually implement the stuff, or how do you feel about it?
I discussed this yesterday here, because I said one of the reasons I left after. I'll answer this by saying what happens. Yeah. So when I became a consultant, I started my own consultancy in 1988 after being with W.D. Scott, and then Coopers and Lybrand took us over in. When did they take us over? So I was there from 87 they took us over on 1st of April 1987, and then I started my own business in 88 at BHP Newcastle, Pasminco Metals, Bullaroo. So the reason I'm saying that is I noticed that they wanted us to do the system of Coopers and Lybrand, not because it was bad, but that was their system in New York. You know, in London we do it like this, you know, and that's really good in regards to a partner saying to a graduate, here, you follow this. When you nod my head and hit it, you'll get the right result, and that means we can keep your utilisation up to 85%. You know, you go. But BHP don't do that. So I had a personal values conflict. I'll get to your point. Yeah. So what I did at BHP Newcastle, and it's probably relevant, because I said they wanted the partners at Coopers and Lybrand, W.D. Scott. They kept on going up trying to sell them not JIT, but new manufacturing strategies and all this, and a few things. I said, I'm getting the feeling they don't want that. Every time we have an operations meeting, and my boss was an ex-BHP guy from Broken Hill, and he was my boss, John Brooks. Yeah. And we used to sit there going, and all the IT people were, you know, that's the new age, that's like new manufacturing, you know, pants, you know. I don't think BHP are into this, because you've been up there twice and you're not getting a response. So Coopers and Lybrand Newcastle office was telling the Sydney office that whoever you're sending up ain't getting traction with BHP. So what I did, I just went up there with John. So he said, we got to the canteen of is that building still there? Yeah, I think it still is there, the white building.
Yeah.
So we went to dinner and lunch, and the lunch was there. And I said, "What have you guys been doing to do the improvement in your thing?" "Oh, we've been doing a Captain Trigo problem solving stuff." I said, "It's good stuff." "Is it?" "Yeah, it's fantastic. I use bits of it myself." "Like what?" "Oh, the what is not. I think it's fantastic, and yeah, that's a very good problem definition thing." "Oh, they're right. What else about it?" "Oh, they do a thing on this and did that." "No, okay." And we're doing another thing on some other program, best practice or something. I said, "Yeah, that's good too."
Yeah.
"Well, what are you guys going to do?" "I don't know." And I said, "What's for lunch?" He says, and I still remember it. This lady came out with a little, they had the caps, the women had, and the apron.
Yeah.
She comes out.
The service caps.
Yeah, yeah, but she was about 68, something like me. And she goes, "What do you guys want?" "What's for the thing?" "It's the usual stuff. I've got bangers and man, "Is that a quiche?" "Yeah, I've never had one." "Well, they were right. Well, we should try one." "Okay, well, quiche." Well, at this stage, all the BHP executives and everybody else had ordered bangers and mash or a hamburger and something. Nobody ever touched a quiche, right? Because quiches were like, "Oh, geez."
Back and forth.
Yeah, so I'm like, so I said, "Oh, I think, yeah, that'd be good." That was horrible. "Oh, Gladys, I might have an egg and whatever it was, quiches." And by the time they said, "Oh, look, you can't have a bloody run on them." No. We've got, "Hey, Gloria." And John Brooks, my boss, is going, "Oh my God, Michael, we've been here 5 minutes, the biggest company in Australia," and I can see him going. And he came out, "Do I get it with salad?" He said, "No, it comes with salad." "Does it come with the dressing?" He said, "Yeah, it comes with the dressing too." "Oh, excellent." So everybody's going, "Oh, yes." So my boss is there going, "Oh, I'm going to kill this bloke." I can see him. He's going, "Oh." I said, "So what are you going to do?" I said, "Well, what? Can we go through the area that you got the most concern on?" "We've got a problem in the caster plant." "Okay. Got our steel cap boots. We've got everything here. What, do you want to go out there?" "Is it okay?" "Sure." The reason for saying it, and so when I became Coopers and Library and WD Scott would do what I would do. You would go along as a manager.
Yeah.
You would never go along as a Coopers person or a Pricewaterhouse or a KPMG or Deloitte person.
Yeah.
You would go along respecting the client.
Yeah.
So the first thing in ISO management system standards is context of the organisation. The most powerful thing about it is the context.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about it now.
Yeah.
So I'd go and I said, "Look, I can see that you can improve this. Obviously, how did you know that?" "Because I just spoke to your crane operator." "Where did you speak to him?" "He's just walking along here." I said, "What the fuck's wrong?" It's just, "Oh, this doesn't get maintained, this doesn't, this just..." "You just walked in." I said, "No, what was he going to do?" He said, "Well, I don't know, but I reckon they've got some ideas how to fix it."
Yeah. But particularly in an organisation that size, there's always an us and them.
Oh, of course. But Newcastle was different.
Yeah.
They'd taken away the executive dining room. It was all one floor.
Oh, right.
So culturally, it was different from Port Kembla. Culturally, it was different from every other part of BHP.
Yeah.
I was very, I get goose pimples. I was very, very lucky. I get almost upset about it. I can cry that close.
Yeah.
Because you go in, you find out what the things are, what did you do, and that's where I came up, because I was doing the Changi Airport Customer Service Program at the same time in 1988. And I did this thing with the Air Force when I used it at the last job I did, Keep, Change, Create. Keep doing what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Why? You're 70 years, aren't you? Yes. Well, you must be doing something right.
Yeah.
We probably changed a few things. Like what? I don't know. We'll get the people involved. But I'd fix the overhead crane. I think the other thing with the continuous cast is not very good. And I don't think your measurements are going pretty good. How do you know that? Because the guy's just going, throwing that in. He's supposed to put it in the measured days. Clearly he's not. And besides that, he barracks for the Newcastle Knights. How do you know that? I asked him, look at his cap, or something like that. And so the last 10% is, but you need to create something different for the new continuous caster. How did you know about that? The lady, the kitchen, yeah. She's on the team of the people that are investigating her from KB Steel, Nippon Steel. She's not, no, but her husband is. Oh, that's the new metallurgist guy. Where did you find that out? When I got up a cup of tea. Went up the canteen. Yeah.
So it's all about observations.
Observations, and if you're interested, as I say to the, any apprentices, and anything, just But just observe. And because my wife would say, you never observe anything I do. You don't give a shit about anything. You care about everybody else. Oh, you remember, God. He said, oh, what did she say? A street angel, home devil. Bloody typical Gemini.
Oh, my partner's a Gemini too.
What date?
20th of September.
No, that's not Gemini.
Oh,
June. I'm June.
Oh, no, sorry.
September. I don't know what September is.
No, I thought she was Gemini.
No.
She can't see this.
So part of that is back to the lean thing. So I'm always on, if you look at some of my LinkedIn things, I get really upset when people say, oh yeah, I can see them doing it, I've got a movable fishbone diagram with a 5-eye analysis was the last one I had to go. I was just ropeable. One is, they've got a fishbone diagram. Ishikawa has 3 types. And it's got the usual thing, and they put manpower on it. Ishikawa, the last time I got his book, he realised that that's probably not a good idea because they now say people. But I've got clients, they don't put people or manpower on any fishbone diagram because they listen to Joe Juran, that 80% of the problem is caused by the system. Yeah. It was nothing to do with the people. Yeah. So they took it off. So as Joe taught me when I was with him back in 88, 89, 90, he said, well, who put in the factory? Oh, management. Who designed the factory? Oh. Who bought all the material? Management. By the time he said, so what do the people do? They just operate. They just operate.
I didn't even think they were robots.
I said, but they're not. Yeah. They can do it. And he said, oh, then a miracle happens here? You go to something, you go, how does it go from there to, I don't know. Leave it, boss, we'll sort this out. But yeah, so I had this thing of kind of respecting what people did. So in lean, I would like this guy for the 5-why analysis. The Toyota and the industrial engineering textbooks tell you in the practical problem solving method of Toyota says you have the fishbone diagram, effect, cause, effect, right. And it says you should do the 5-why analysis on the one which you think is the highest or direct cause to get to the root cause, if it is a root cause. Yeah. You do the 5-why on the cause, not on the problem, because that's the purpose of the fishbone diagram. But these Americans put it out. It's like if I had an email from California 2 days ago from Dirk, who I've given live TV things on. I said, Dirk, you Americans are still doing CAPA. You're doing corrective action, preventive action. It's not the same in ISO. We deleted preventive action because the whole thing's about mitigating risk. And I said, it says corrective action because people are doing corrective action and preventive action, the same thing. It's not. They are 2 different things. Yeah. But the Americans persist with it because the late CAPA, Yeah. Oh. So part of this thing about lean that John Cook and I go on about is half the time is respecting. So John and I would say, Camalco extrusion plant or the melt, remelt. Well, shit, you're not going to change that much. I mean, it's a big piece of bloody equipment. Yeah. And that's what the Toyota and Nissan did when I was at Nissan over in Smyrna, Tennessee. I said, what are you going to do here? He said, just have a look at the factory, see how it goes. And so when I won the job for Nissan down there in Victoria, I went from Sydney and I parked my yellow Magna with the 3 car seats across the back seat because Holden and Ford I couldn't put my 3 car seats across the back seat. Right. The Magna was flat because it was front wheel drive. Yeah. So I parked my car with a sunroof. It looked like the yellow submarine, right? With mags. So I parked down the street. The guy who saw me park it was one of the directors at Nissan Australia. And he saw when I went to the executive to present. Well, you just parked your car down the street? Oh yeah. A yellow one? Oh. Yeah. You roll up to Nissan in a Mitsubishi. No, I didn't. I parked down the street at Clayton. He says, oh no, it's probably up on bricks. The next minute I've got this thing happening with it. I said, oh God, you got 3 car seats across. How many kids you got? I've got 3. How old are they? I said, don't know that. I said, look, I think I'm here. I'm from Cooper's Live BMW. I'm here to be professional. What's your problem with the car? Well, every other consultant's rolled up here in a car too. BMWs and Mercedes. At least you had an Australian-made one. I went, oh, thank God. So he says, oh, what are you so smart at? I said, I'm from interstate. I must be smart. He said, so how are you going to teach us doing the automated quality assurance program? I said, because I was trained by Anna Long. I said, I'm the only guy that you've probably seen that has actually worked in the automotive industry. Where at? How it comes back to bite you? National Springs. Yeah. Oh, National Springs? They make our car springs. I know. You're a consultant? Yeah. You didn't do a trade, did you? Well, actually I did. And how did I get the job at National Springs? So when I finished my university time, I was one of 6 that graduated in the Bachelor of Business.
Yeah.
The guy who beat me for some prize, I didn't do very well, but I did. My last 3 years I did strategy and international. I kicked ass.
Yeah.
He beat me. So my dad, when I went to the graduation, I jumped around here. When I went to the graduation, I got my second daughter Tori on my arm, and the guy who beat me was there. He said, I said, oh, how's it going? He said, oh, I'm trying to get out of the public service. I said, oh, yeah. What did you do? He said, I applied for a job at this company down in Reardon Street, Alexandria. And my dad's gone. I said, what in? I said, what in? He said, oh, they make car springs. And Dad was just about to say, oh, this is where Michael is. You know, I stood on his foot because I got Tori, one of my daughters, under my arm, and got the bottle, got the bottle like this. And what happened? They gave it to some guy who had a fitting and turning thing. I said, did he have a degree? Oh, he had a degree, but they gave it because he was a fitter and turner. What's a fitter machine that's fitter and turner thing? I said, oh, probably a trade or something, is it? Oh, no, I'm the most qualified. I got this prize. I said, oh, did you? My dad's gone. I go, shut up. So anyway, he says, I told you, son, never forget that your trade could come in well. I was proven right.
Have you been following the, just on that, about the trade to the trajectory of doing a degree? They've got this new, this
pathway or something?
Yeah, the new institute.
A new institute?
Yeah, it's a collaboration between TAFE taking on and getting rid of the gap between universities. So there's a Shergold and I can't remember the other person as the author, but there's a report that's just come out.
Shergold, yeah.
Yeah, Shergold and the guy who, his name escapes me. But basically they're talking about trying to get rid of the separation between university and vet. So there's going to be this continuum. And there's a lot of things like degree type qualifications are now being called advanced apprenticeships. So really it's about work placement or work experience for people who are studying degrees.
So when I started with STC, we had 6, the cadets.
Yeah.
Mike Quigley, who then became the head of NBN, who I was at over getting a meal over in Antwerp in Belgium. He says, how did you get here? I said, I'm here. And then they took me into the executive dining room at Bell Telephoning Company.
Yeah.
Someone on Bell, right? The reason for saying that, Michael and all the engineers did what they call the sandwich course. So you did 6 months at uni, 6 months at work. And you did that for your 6 years.
Yeah.
At both University of New South Wales and then New South Wales Institute of Technology.
Yeah.
Because you got the practical stuff. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah. But people are it's like they're reinventing the wheel and saying this is the new way forward, and
praise the Lord.
Almost trying to eradicate tradies and saying everybody needs to be this new cadet model sort of outcome. So
you live long enough, you think I've seen this stuff before.
Yeah.
Look, and I think the Air Commodore and the young lady and the TAFE, the vet lady who spoke yesterday, Susie, yeah. When I wrote it up on my post-it notes,
yeah.
She said, there's more people coming from university to TAFE than TAFE into university.
Yeah.
Well, that tells you something.
For good reason.
That's the data. That's what it's telling us, evidence-based data, all this type of stuff. So I'm not against it. I'm just, one of my, they're still my client, Ozgene. So on the application of lean, back to Johnny Cook's thing, right?
Yeah.
So what do I know about biomedical engineering of human DNA for medical mice things? Mice? Do you actually make the mice? Yeah, you're going to go in the vivarium, you're going to bloody euthanize the mice. What the hell? I said, why am I here? Because we've got an average. I can tell you this because it's on their website. You go to Ozgene, I'll give you the link. You go Ozgene, Ozgene.
Yeah.
So they were averaging 120 weeks to make a mouse.
To make a mouse?
They make them.
Oh, really?
So everything that you're doing on COVID is all on mice.
Yeah.
So what they do is they take, Caucasian DNA thing, say me.
It's a human model thing.
Yeah, human model. And it has to be tested on a mouse.
Yeah.
Because they reproduce so quickly, and they put them in a neutral one and they match it up, and they do it again, match it up, it comes back, it worked. So anyway, they were 120 weeks average. They're now down to 20 weeks best. So what did I do? Keep, change, create. Back to John Cook's thing.
Yeah.
Well, how do you do these 9 steps in the process? Well, we do them. Have you got them documented? Oh, yeah, pretty close. Yeah, they do. They've got aspects of lean. They've got my friend Gary Stewart who got me in there. If it wasn't for Gary, I wouldn't be doing it. I use it as part of my case study for my PhD, but at University of Wollongong.
Yeah.
I stopped it because of work and a range of other things. I couldn't write. I've got 2 academic peer-reviewed big star journal articles.
What's the subject matter?
So anyway, cut long story short, I won't go into that. And then Macquarie Uni said, "Oh, do you want to come and do your PhD here to transfer?" And I didn't pay much attention to it, but the 6 academics said, "Oh, your writing's not good." I said, "I'm just asked for a transfer. I'd go here so I can learn how to write properly." I said, "You do know I've written books and I've published academic peer-reviewed papers and conferences." "Oh, have you?" "Yeah, and who does the MBA lectures?" So I have problems about some of this. So back to what I was talking about was the thing with Ozgene. So we just got them and the flow, the 9 steps in their process. But they had column charts.
Yeah.
And the column charts were like that for step 1. So I just did a bell curve.
Yeah.
And then the next step was like that. I said, "Have you got the same axes on each of these curves?" "No." "Standardise it, have the same axes."
Yeah.
So the y-axis has to be the same. So they did that. So the next day they came back, I showed, then I did the bell curve. "Why are you doing that?" "Well, you've got variation." "Or we should improve it." No. First thing of statistics is on target with minimum variation.
Yeah.
What's the target? The target was about 28 weeks. I said, "Oh shit." I said, "Well, geez, and you're an average of 120 weeks." He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, they're a great team. So they're in the bio room." Don't say that. It's just a room where everybody has morning tea.
Yeah.
These scientists, lab rats, they call themselves. And they got all the production up on the wall. So, Gary Stewart helped them do that. And Dr. Frank Koenig is the guru. He read everything on Toyota. He's on the advisory board for the Shingo Prize for Operational Excellence. He's the only international member. Ozgene, Perth.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So he became that after what we were doing because they showed the improvement. So Gary and I and Troy Taylor from West Australia, we kind of helped him do it. So what we did is, world-class quality is minimum variation around a target.
Yeah.
So what we have to do is reduce the variation. Or how are we going to do that, smart ass? And I said, "I have no idea." "Well, why are you here?" I said, "Well, do you follow the procedures?" And I looked at everybody. "Do you all follow the same procedure? With Frank here, the boss?" "Oh yes, we all follow the procedure."
Yeah, right.
"Have you documented it?" "Yeah." "Have you got a flow chart of it?" "Bits of it." I said, "Okay." So Frank says, "All right, you're going to go down there and you're going to flow chart the whole process. You doing this cause and effect thing, I can send them to you." I got process cause and effect diagrams that go from there to about there, all the production process on the genotyping. What do I know about genotyping? I know nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Tell me the first step. Dum, 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 dum. What causes you not to have the genotyping right at the end of it that doesn't, when the next step in the process, when it goes to, what's the other department? It's called something else. Jeez. I was like, so what caused that? So once again, I just wrote down what they said.
Yeah.
I said, if you've got this many causes in a process that can't deliver that result, you've got a real problem. I said, there's no sense doing 5Y analysis. You've got so many causes, you have to eliminate this by getting it back to the standard. So John Cook and I would say, what is the standard? Was it W.C. Fields or Groucho Marx? Somebody said, your wife's ugly. He said, compared to what? I said, I don't know what's good or bad. Anyway, so I did flow charts and cause and effect diagrams all over the place. I had them everywhere, and they started knocking them off.
Yeah.
So they had red and greens and things like this. So we kept on knocking them off every day, knocking them off. Yeah. So at the end of it, that was so when I did the bell curve, he says, okay, blood-sucking consultant. Where did I get blood-sucking consultant? I just mentioned it to Frank. because John Mills, you know John Mills, right?
Yeah.
He says to Richard Hughes at RPC Technologies when I bid for the job to do the Waratah trains, he says, "Oh, you got the grant for $20,000. You can spend up to $40,000 on a blood-sucking consultant." So I don't know this. I'm with It was actually with Jason Finesse. I was down there in where were we? We were in Brighton Sands. That's right. And I get this phone call. "Hello, it's Richard Hughes here." "Oh, hi, Richard. Are you a BSc?" And, "No, I don't have a Bachelor of Science." I said, "No, I'm not a Bachelor of Science." And I looked at Hugh Allen as one of my consultants. "That's right, is it? BSc is a Bachelor of Science?" "Yes, of course, Michael. That's what I am. I'm a Bachelor of Science." "Oh, I knew that." "Sorry, what's your name?" "Richard Hughes." I said, "What did you call me?" He said, "A blood-sucking consultant." I said, "Yeah, well, I am a consultant. I am a certified management consultant. I'm a fellow of the bloody... Why are you ringing me?" He says, "Because I'm making the Waratah trains, we're making the Navy sonar towers for the submarines and the Anzac frigates, and we're doing this on the underground mining for the mine ventilation." "Oh, shit. So why are you ringing me?" He said, John Mills, he follows St. George. I don't talk to him. It's no sense you mentioning that. Look, I'll sign off. It's okay." He said, No. I want you to come up and see us." What? "Oh, you've had a review done." "Oh, okay." All right, so I went up on the train, got off at Broadmeadows, and he picked me up.
So he dobbed you in?
He dobbed me in. So I went around the plant. What did I do? I said, "I'm not going to give you a quote." "Why?" "I've got to walk around the plant." Walked around the plant. Saw how they were doing the bloody Waratah trainers. What's your demand rate? What's Downer saying down at Cardiff? "Oh, they went 5 drivers' cabins per. It wasn't per day. It was five drivers. 5 days for a driver's cabin."
Oh.
I said, "So what are you doing?" "Well, we've never been able to get to that." "Oh, what's your current rate?" So they told me the current rate. I went, And what's the underground mining thing? "Oh, it's the mine ventilation." "What's the problem with that?" "Oh, shit. And what's the problem with the, there was something else in the factory they had to do, the Navy stuff." I said, "Composites. I don't know anything about composites. I don't know anything about fiberglass. I don't know. I know aluminium, but I don't know." Anyway, so I put in a proposal. So what I did, I said, "I'm going to train you, but I'm going to do real life projects. We're going to do the competitive systems and practices. I'm not going to do lean. I'm going to do the 4 modules at what I think, contextualised, back to context, that I think you need to do to fix those 3 project areas." So we're going to do, problem solving stuff, and then process, value stream maps, and but we'll put them in an order for each of these projects. But I'll give you this proviso: they may not end up looking the same 3 projects. What do you mean by that? Well, each team will embrace the tools and techniques differently, and I'll change the tool depending on what they want to do.
Yeah.
"Oh, how do you do that?" I said, "I'm old. I'll do it." "Who have you done it with?" Bum, 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 bum. But it was really interesting was they did. So they went from over 6 days to 5 days to 4 days, 3.75, 3.5, 3.25, 3 days, 2.75. And I said to Downer and RPC Technologies that just tell Downer, if they want to get really hard with you, that if they don't fix their supply chain, they will be telling you, RPC, to please slow down, because they won't be able to keep up.
Yeah. No, it's funny,
They did. They said, "Can you just hold off?"
Yeah. But it's funny around the lean stuff because, quite often you'd know Ray Edwards.
Oh, yeah.
And he's always talking to me about funding for apprenticeship, for trainees in the lean and competitive systems and practices stuff. And I always say, well, industry, there's plenty of examples around where industry have made shiploads of money on the back of whether it be your consulting or other people implementing lean. Why is it that we are still funding this through government money?
Well, that's a good point.
I think there's plenty of justification. Obviously, most companies want to risk, get rid of all the risk and blah blah blah. But I think they need to have some skin in the game. So it's interesting to me just seeing how you can make that stick in an organisation like that and reduce their time and their costs and all that sort of thing, which all adds up to the bottom line.
I made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, Ozgene expanded to Indianapolis with the head office now in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
They're now the fastest producer of human DNA mouse in the world from Perth in Minneapolis. And the reason for saying that is the part that I have when I was in Dubai giving a lecture on risk and other things and the integrated use of management system standards. My little test in Dubai, and it's atypical in Australia too, back to your thing about what Ray said.
Yeah.
I said, how many of you are ISO 9001 certified here in Dubai? Because I worked over there for years.
Yeah.
I worked in Doha, I worked in Bahrain, Egypt and Cairo. I did the Six Sigma Champions program for the American University.
Yeah.
How many of you are ISO 9001 certified? And frankly, nearly everybody put up their hand. I said, okay, the next part of this test, hand up, leave your hand up if you're doing Six Sigma too. So about only 25, 30% left their hands up. So okay, put your all hands up again, that were ISO 9000. How many of you are doing lean? Now 60%? 60% left their hands up? I said, all right, put your hand down. No, put your all hands up again for 9001. How many of you are doing with 9001 and you're doing lean Six Sigma? And it was about 80%.
Yeah.
And other people, I had some other things about best practice because I wanted the best practice. I got to judge the best practices in the world in New Zealand in May, but I said, okay.
Yeah, because I had a real, it's an observation I have about people who run companies with MBAs and their lack of ability to implement lean. And that argument about, they want funding for that and they don't see that they don't have enough turnover to invest in, someone to come in and help them on their lean journey, blah, 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 blah.
But lean's just productivity, it's into industrial engineering, it's nothing. So I get people upset with this thing about the comment that John Krafkick, who did the MIT Sloan article and he did the MIT study on the vehicle study, he said the most productive car company in the world is a company called Toyota. And it's a very lean operation. Womack, Jones and Roos, we got hold of that, and that was the next minute they became lean. I've seen the light. And isn't it interesting in industrial engineering in Australia that the correlation between industrial engineering courses, right, when 60s and 70s, and then as soon as they dropped off, what came up? Lean.
Yeah.
So we still need it. It's just part of your MBA thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm giving lectures at the Macquarie University and even at University of Wollongong on lean and TQM. TQM, if you look at the research of Toyota, they do not use the word lean.
Yeah. But
they still do TQM and quality circles.
And I think about it as, the amount of leveraging that happens in a company for investing in new equipment and all that sort of stuff instead of investing in their people and reducing their costs through lean programs. So, I don't know. It's just my observation.
Well, I'll give you that.
It's anecdotal.
But it's kind of true. I was over in Montreal with my good friend Don Drury. He got rest his soul. He was the Quality Circles Institute. So we were over in Montreal, and there was a New Zealand guy behind us. It was important for the New Zealand guy, Ron. So for the same thing. So we're there listening to the ex-president of Cadillac General Motors. So she absolutely, like the women that presented here, knew their stuff, great presence, and just. Wow, like America's in good hands, a bit like a Michelle Obama type thing. Jeez, lovely. You just sat there and said, I'm the president of Cadillac in the United States for General Motors, and I just want to tell you a story of what happened here in regards to Toyota. We had a visit by Mr. Toyota, and I'm going to tell you the story of the biggest corporate capital write-off in robotics history. And I'd heard a bit about it, because I wasn't a consultant at General Motors then. And everybody went, ooh. And they all knew, I didn't know. Yeah, it's the biggest corporate write-off of any capital investment in the world. And they put in robots because they want it back to the Numi plant with Toyota. They're trying to beat the Japanese. So this is like, late 80s. I said, oh, so what was the story? So I don't know if you heard me do this story. So Mr. Toyota was there and his other advisors. So he didn't talk much because he's pretty old at that stage. And so he was there, but these young engineers were there. And he was the one that was talking, so Mr. Toyota's off to the side. I actually have the book from the review by Toyota of Ford. I'm going to get it rewritten because everything in it is about all the stuff we've been talking about. So the guys, they went through the factory, did the Gemba walk, you know. Oh, please, give me strength.
I think I have heard this.
Yeah, they went there and they went through and he says, oh, thank you very much for your talk.
Yeah.
What do you think of our plan? I fear for you. And she went, what? So she's telling the story better than me. So, and then he got on his heels and they all walked off.
Yeah.
She said, Mr. Namimoto, excuse me. And she's got all the Americans there with their, the white shirts with the plastic pockets with the pens. Make sure you had the ruler first, then the pencil, HB of course, with the rubber. Make sure the rubber's there. Then black, then blue, then red, then green, and some other damn thing, and they're also got their monograms on their cuffs. They've got their haircuts like this. The reason I'm doing it, they're like that. It's like some religion. And yeah, we got them in the Second World War. We'll get them again. We'll beat them.
Like the Marines in.
Oh yeah. So anyway, he comes back. Yeah, 3 problems. Well, what happens when you have a problem? Oh, we've got diagnostics, we've got computers, they interrogate the machines and the robots and tell us where there's a problem in the line and we can do this, automation, blah, 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 blah. Starts to walk away. Sorry, you said 3. What happened to the people? Well, part of the re-engineering thing, a business process re-engineering, what we did here, we worked out the production line and where the robots could do that and where it was dangerous. We put the robot in there and the people would, it's got placed at strategic parts in the business where we needed to pick on. And walked off. And she's gone, there's no matter. You've told us 2 things. And all the American engineers, they're going, yes. Years later, I worked with these General Motors engineers. I remember this and I told them the story and they're all like this.
Oh no.
I said, so what was the 3rd one? You have a robot. You have less people. And he says to his sycophant people from Toyota, he says, and they're going, no, don't say that. You can do whatever it was. And she's going, and all the American engineers going, God damn, what do you think, Mr. Namimoto? I fear that what you do badly, you'll just make quicker. And then walked off. Years later, like 18 months later, they had to write it all off. And it's failed. Because that's one of the things about the people. And I've been in plants that are supposedly doing this thing with, modern manufacturing, but they don't have the basics. So some of the things are the jigs and tooling that you see to do a jig to make sure we could actually put a part in and it gets welded right or the things get done right. We're doing one for a supplier. He's doing these power systems for the sub. And he's this little company down in Rydalmere. How did you get into this? Oh, you're not certified. You don't have a quad chart. You got nothing. He said, we've got the best product in Australia that does blah, 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 blah. Who do you supply this to? Oh, all the trains in New South Wales and Victoria. Wow. What does it do? Oh, it does this, that, the other. And how did he start his business? He came to Australia. He lived in a unit with his son that now works there. They went around the streets of Parramatta picking up old TVs, microwaves, things and repaired them, and he's back in his bedroom. And now he's going to be part of the supply chain for Australia for the sub. And I can't tell you what he's name of the company because of that.
It's a great success story.
And he goes, how do you do this? But what did we do to design the ISO 9001? They're going to do cyber, they're going to do their DISP application, they're almost through it. Cara Kennedy from our team doing this. He'll get through it. But you go, wow, there's some great people. The place is a mess. I said, we could fix this. Could you? Yeah, but we won't fix it now. You have to make money now. We'll fix it as we go. And back to my point. So back to Dubai. I said, when you go to pick your lean project, your Six Sigma project, business process re-engineering project, why don't you pick your project out of your quality system that you've been certified to? Why? Most of them haven't got a flow chart of their operations, which is clause 8 or something.
Yeah.
They don't know their They do know their but they haven't got their flow chart.
There's no visibility.
So I said, why did you do don't tell me you got a value stream map done by a consultancy, like the director of FAOQ just said. BCG, McKinsey's and everybody else comes in and does the flow charts or value stream maps. I did that with Motorola and Qantas. I said, wouldn't the flow chart come out of your management system? No, that's the quality department. I said, if one more person says that, I'll get a camel onto you. Anyway, I said a pretty one. And all the ladies just laughing. They're just thinking the Australians making fun of all these guys, and these guys don't get it. And all the women are going, yes. I said, so when you make the supposed change in the process in regards to process capability studies, and I'm sure you're going to 1.67 as an initial process capability, and then go to 1.33. Oh, aren't you Six Sigma? Yeah. What are you talking about? What's a process capability? That's something else, is it? No, it's the basis of all statistics. I'm sure you're doing a process capability studies on a control chart. I know the control chart's got you got a process shift allowance, 1.5 standard deviation, plus or minus. Well, yeah. I said, so I'll get onto that. So I said, so when you make the change to this process, you put the change back in, and there's Toyota and everybody say, and John Cook and I would say, let the bloody thing run. And Dr. Deming, don't touch it. Don't fiddle with it. Don't tamper. Just let it run. And do it the next shift. And if it bloody worked and it changed it, lock it in. Then get your internal audit team, because the ISO standard says, do you do what you do to your procedures in your process, in your system first. You've locked it in. You've sustained the change, whatever it is. Don't have to call it lean or anything. This is the change you make. Now, the second part of the internal audit of ISO says, B, did you meet the requirements of an international standard or this international standard? So in other words, okay, you're doing this well, you're efficient. Now the next part is, if it has to make something which is an international standard quality, be it product or the process for certification, you better make sure that's right. Yeah. But you don't have to. But if you wanted to, you want to get certified, you probably better do this right. Yeah. So the part about Lean and Six Sigma is, I find a bit sad. And getting the funding for the, I will be soon. I haven't done a competitive systems and practices training course and funded. I'm trying to think the last one I did, probably Volvo, Mac. And I've got 72 units of different qualifications under the AQF. I haven't done it for ages. But it's interesting you say about people want funding for it. I find that odd. And I did a job for a big company, $1 billion company. We fixed their galvanizing process. And when they did it, they said to me, well, I didn't fix it, they fixed it. But at the end of it, they said, this is pretty good. We've just done the thing for the education revolution. Oh, how did you go? It saved our business. Oh, really? How many people? I said, 275 jobs were kept by that. Really? I knew this, of course. Oh, so how many jobs in Queensland? They rattle them off. How many jobs in Adelaide? Wow, that's a lot of people. What were you doing for the Building Education Revolution? It's like a Royal Commission. Never a Royal Commission unless you know the answer you want. I said, I was doing the fences. Oh, okay. All around Australia. So I thought everybody was against the Building Education Revolution. It was an absolute rort. Oh, well, it's a Labor government, Kevin Rudd and Julia Gillard and all this. Oh, okay. So what's your question to me? Look, that was phase one, and the board of directors wanted to know, is there going to be a phase two? Sorry? Well, we got funding to do the phase one, and we've got a lot of...
Get some more funding.
I thought the Labor Party was socialist dogs of war or something, and now it's capitalist dogs of war. You're saying, you want funding to do this? What are you saying? You're a business. Yeah. Wouldn't you just do it because it was smart for your business and do your CapEx and do OpEx? So I got a bit...
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think you make some good points. We've been going for nearly an hour and a half, mate, so it goes quick. I really enjoyed the conversation. I find you very entertaining in the way you tell your stories, so it's great. I'm sure everybody that listens to this will think the same. Just before we wrap up, you want to just give a plug to your consultancy?
Oh, okay.
If anyone's keen?
Oh, yeah. My company is McLean Management Consultants. We've been going since 1988, so it's on the web, McLean-mc.com.au. And today I'm wearing a gold jacket.
Yeah.
I've got the gold shirt on. So when I've got a defence security clearance, and part of that is I go through on defence work through gold because they're on the panel and the master service providers. So we just finished an Air Force job and CASG job that people talked about here today.
Yeah.
So I still collaborate with a number of consultants, and I think that's one of the things that I've found is you can't be the expert in everything, and when the client says, back to the context, they have a problem, I can't do that, but I know somebody, Karen, can do that.
Yeah.
Can you organise that?
Yeah.
And I think one of the things, I've been going since 1988, so I haven't been as probably as successful as I probably wanted to be.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed the collaboration with people like Goal and other consultants I worked with, both in Australia and around the world. So should I stay doing fitting and turning and machining and tool making?
I think people keep getting you back, mate, so you must be doing something right.
Yeah, I'd say sure. So that's just the company.
Yeah. Thanks for your time today, mate. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we might even come back on another subject at another time.
Sure, when there's the son of lean or something like that, or
something like that. Yeah. Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Thank you for the opportunity. All right.
It's awesome.